A winter storm is doing something meteorologists rarely see, and what I'm about to reveal at the 90-second mark will completely change how you think about blizzards. But first, you need to understand why tomorrow morning could be the most dangerous moment of this entire winter season. Right now, a monster winter storm is bearing down on the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. We're talking about 5 to 10 inches of snow across a massive swath of the country. Roads are going to be slick. Travel is going to be treacherous. But here's what nobody is talking about. The snow isn't even the biggest threat. At the 18-minute mark, I'm going to show you temperature maps that will shock you. We're talking about 50 degrees below average in parts of America, -30 actual temperatures, -50 wind chills. This is the kind of cold that can kill in minutes. But before we get there, you need to hear about the sneaky threat that's going to catch thousands of drivers completely off guard. And as promised, here's the revelation that changes everything. In Iowa and Illinois, we're about to see blizzard conditions with winds over 60 miles per hour. Whiteout visibility, roads completely impassable. And here's the twist that makes this so dangerous. It's going to happen without a single snowflake falling from the sky. You heard that right. A blizzard without snow. This is what meteorologists call a ground blizzard, and it's one of the most underreported weather phenomena in America. It happens every winter, but we don't talk about it enough. And that silence is dangerous because people don't see it coming. Here's how it works. We already have several inches of snow on the ground across Iowa, Illinois, northern Missouri, and Nebraska. That snow has been sitting there from previous storms. Now, 60-mile-per-hour winds are about to race across those areas. Those winds are going to pick up that existing snow and create complete whiteout conditions. Visibility drops to 0 in seconds. Roads that look fine one moment become death traps the next. Wednesday morning, if you're driving through Iowa, you could be in sunny conditions 1 mile, and then suddenly you can't see the hood of your car. No warning, no transition. Just instant whiteout. And unlike a regular snowstorm where you see it coming, where you have time to pull over, this hits you like a freight train. Stay with me, because at the 5-minute mark, I promised you the exact timeline of when this nightmare scenario unfolds. And I'm going to deliver on that promise right now. Let's start with what's happening at this very moment. Freezing rain is falling across North Dakota and northern South Dakota. Not snow, freezing rain. That means ice accumulation on roads, on power lines, on everything. We're looking at up to 1/10 of an inch of ice in some spots. That might not sound like much, but 1/10 of an inch of ice can snap tree branches and bring down power lines. Simultaneously, a band of snow showers is moving across the Great Lakes this morning. Light to moderate snow, nothing too concerning yet. But by late this morning, everything changes. Here's your hour-by-hour breakdown, and I need you to pay very close attention because timing is everything with this storm. Between noon and 1 p.m. today, we're going to see a rapidly intensifying low-pressure system in the northern plains. This system is going to explode. And when low-pressure systems intensify that quickly, they create dangerous conditions fast. By early afternoon, moderate to heavy snow becomes a major concern across Minnesota and North Dakota. 4 to 5 p.m., here's where things get complicated. Southeastern Minnesota, near Owatonna and back toward Minneapolis, you're going to see freezing rain, not snow. Freezing rain. That creates the most dangerous road conditions imaginable. A thin layer of ice that's nearly invisible. What we call black ice. You can't see it until you're already sliding. Rush hour, 5 to 6 p.m. This is when most of you are driving home from work, and this is when the storm reaches peak intensity. Heavy snow ramps up across Duluth and near Minneapolis. Now, here's the tricky part. For Minneapolis specifically, most of what you're going to see is freezing rain, but there might be a brief transition into snow right around 5 p.m. If you're further north in the Minneapolis metro, your chances of seeing actual snow are much higher. By 6 p.m., light snowfall starts making its way into Wausau, and then between 7 and 8 p.m., that snow basically drapes all of Wisconsin. Milwaukee area, Green Bay, all across northern Wisconsin, you're getting hit. And we're not talking about light flurries here. We're talking about snowfall rates as high as 3 inches per hour in some locations. 3 inches per hour. Think about that. That's a quarter inch every 5 minutes. That's the kind of snowfall rate where plows can't keep up, where roads become impassable almost immediately. But notice that pink area on the radar, extending from Minneapolis back into the Illinois-Wisconsin border. That's freezing rain again. Ice accumulation. Some locations could see as much as a 20th to a 10th of an inch of ice. And that's going to cause slick spots and perhaps some very isolated power outages late tonight. Now, don't miss this next part, because the overnight hours bring a whole new set of problems. By the time we get into the overnight period, snow is mostly going to be happening across northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, and almost all of Michigan. Light to moderate snowfall overnight. Minneapolis, you might see a little bit of light snow continuing. If you don't see snow during the afternoon today, there's a better chance overnight, but it's going to be quick hitting. We're talking 1 to maybe 2 inches at most. Wednesday morning arrives, and that snow is moving across the Great Lakes toward Ontario. The Northeast gets light to moderate snowfall all day Wednesday. But here's an important point. This isn't really the big story for the Northeast. This system is only going to add a few inches, maybe 2 to 4 inches for most areas. The real story, the one that's going to dominate headlines, starts Wednesday afternoon, and what happens next is going to bury some communities under feet of snow. Late Wednesday and Thursday, this system cranks into a massive lake effect snow event. Northwestern Michigan and Watertown, New York. These are the two key areas where significant snow becomes not just possible, but likely. We're talking about lake effect snow that continues through Thursday and into Friday morning. And here's why lake effect snow is so dangerous. It's incredibly localized. You could be 5 miles away from a lake effect band and see nothing. But if you're under that band, you can see 6 inches of snow in 2 hours. The snow falls so hard and so fast that visibility drops to near zero. And because it's so localized, a lot of people don't take it seriously until they're already stuck in it. By late Thursday into early Friday, that lake effect snow continues in those 2 critical areas. But we're also going to have more snow making its way across the Rockies into the central and northern plains. This could make a run at the Midwest and Ohio Valley on Friday as a new winter weather event. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But first, let me give you the total snowfall accumulation numbers, because these are the numbers that matter. These are the numbers that determine whether your kids have a snow day, whether you're getting to work, whether power stays on. Anywhere you see purple on the map, we're expecting a widespread 5 to 10 inches of snow. That area extends from northern Minnesota back into northern Michigan. This includes Green Bay and Wausau, Wisconsin. These are significant accumulations that are going to shut down travel, close schools, and cause widespread problems. Minneapolis, you're the interesting case. You could easily see only a coating to almost nothing. But, and this is important, you do have a chance of seeing somewhere around 2 to 3 inches if you're on the northern side of the Minneapolis area. I'm talking about the suburbs just north of the city proper. Southern Minneapolis, you might see nothing but freezing rain. Northern suburbs, 2 to 3 inches of snow is definitely possible. Milwaukee, we're only expecting a few inches, nothing crazy. Chicago, not expecting much snowfall at all. You're on the southern edge of this system, and most of the moisture is going to stay north of you. But then we get into late Wednesday and Thursday, and the snowfall accumulation numbers start going absolutely crazy with lake effect. Northwestern Michigan, we're likely going to see at least around a foot of snow when this event is all said and done. A foot, 12 inches. That's the kind of snow that buries cars, collapses roofs on older structures, and makes travel completely impossible. Near Lake Erie, we're probably looking at 6 to 12 inches of snow. And then in the Northeast, this is where snowfall totals could be really crazy. Back near Watertown, New York, with those lake effect snow bands, we could see upwards of 12 to 18 inches of snowfall. 18 inches. A foot and a half of snow from lake effect alone, so very significant snow is on the way for many areas. If you're in the path of these lake effect bands, you need to prepare now. Not tomorrow, not when the snow starts, right now. Now, let me talk about the ice threat, because we've got 2 different precipitation types happening with this storm. We're not expecting a major ice storm by any means, but get ready for at least a glazing of ice in parts of central Michigan, from northern Illinois back into southern Wisconsin, and especially across North Dakota. If you're in North Dakota this morning, 1/10 of an inch of ice is a lot more likely for you than anyone else. The further south and east you go, the less ice accumulation you're going to see. But even a glazing, even just a thin layer of ice, is enough to make roads completely impassable. And now we come to the threat that started this whole forecast: the ground blizzard. This is the part at the 18-minute mark I promised you. And this is where things get truly dangerous. This winter storm is going to be very windy across the Midwest tonight and tomorrow morning. And one of the biggest reasons this is so concerning is because we already have a lot of snow on the ground outside of where new snow is going to be falling tonight. Let me paint you a picture of what Wednesday morning looks like if you're in Iowa, Illinois, northern Missouri, or Nebraska. You wake up, you look outside. The sky might even be clear. No snow falling. You think to yourself, okay, the storm passed us by. You get in your car. You start driving to work. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, you can't see. The wind picks up to 60 miles per hour. That existing snow on the ground, snow that's been sitting there for days or weeks, gets picked up and thrown across the highway. You go from clear visibility to complete whiteout in seconds. Zero visibility. You can't see the car in front of you. You can't see the road. You can't see anything. This is blizzard-like conditions all across Iowa, with wind gusts widespread between 50 and 70 miles per hour. 50 to 70. Those are near hurricane force winds. Combined with blowing snow, you have a recipe for disaster. And here's what makes me so frustrated about ground blizzards. This happens every single winter. It's not rare, it's not unusual, but it's not always talked about enough. So people don't know to watch for it. They don't understand that blizzard conditions don't require falling snow, they just need wind and snow on the ground. Wednesday morning could be extremely hazardous on the roadways. Near zero visibility is a very strong possibility. And this is one of those situations where even if you're an experienced winter driver, even if you've lived in Iowa or Illinois your whole life, this can catch you off guard. Because one moment you're fine, and the next moment you're in a complete whiteout. If you live in these areas, my advice is simple. Stay home Wednesday morning if at all possible. If you absolutely must drive, keep your speed low. Leave extra space between you and the car ahead of you. And if you suddenly find yourself in whiteout conditions, don't panic. Slow down gradually, put your hazards on. And if visibility drops to zero, carefully pull as far off the road as you can and wait it out. Now, another thing that's going to change dramatically over the next 7 days is temperature. And the temperature drop we're about to experience is historic, life-threatening, record-breaking. Let me show you what our jet stream looks like, because the jet stream is what's going to transport all this Arctic air over the next few days. Right now, we already have a big dip in our jet stream across the Midwest. That dip, that trough, is where the big storm is forming right now. That's what's bringing the ton of snow today across the Midwest and Great Lakes. But tomorrow and Thursday, this jet stream is going to get even more intense. It's going to pull a massive amount of energy out of Canada, and that energy is going to be transported down into the Midwest, the Northern Plains, and even back into the Southeast by Thursday and Friday. And this is what triggers a major Arctic blast. Friday and Saturday will easily be the coldest days of this entire week. We're talking about extreme cold, where our jet stream winds are strongest. Primarily the Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and across the Northeast on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Eventually, by Monday and Tuesday of next week, our jet stream weakens a little bit. The cold air is still there, especially with northwesterly flow in place. But it's not going to be nearly as cold by Monday and Tuesday of next week. If you're along the East Coast, though, just expect this weather to stay pretty cold at least through Tuesday. And then by the middle and end of next week, things get a lot more uncertain. But let me be very clear about something. This weather pattern is already promoting very cold conditions. And on top of that, we have the threat of even more snowfall coming. Now let's talk about exactly how cold it's going to get, because the numbers I'm about to show you are truly frightening. We're going to start with temperature anomalies, which show the difference from average temperatures. This is beginning with Thursday morning. we're going to have some pretty cold air across Wisconsin and Minnesota. Many areas around 20 to 30 degrees below average. But that's just the appetizer. That's not even the main course. The real Arctic blast, the one that's going to make headlines, that's coming this weekend. Notice on the maps, over on the West Coast, we have very warm temperatures right now, all above average in the Rockies and along the West Coast. But eventually, by Friday and Saturday, that doesn't change much because Arctic air is building across the northern plains and Canada. And then it unleashes across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast on Saturday and Sunday, while warm temperatures continue across the South and Southwest. Saturday and Sunday, that's when the coldest weather arrives, and I think Sunday morning will be the coldest morning of the entire week, probably the coldest morning of the entire month. Honestly, this is going to be pretty crazy. By Sunday morning, we're going to have a widespread area from central Illinois all the way back up into Canada, where temperatures will be as much as 40 to 45 degrees below average, with sub-zero temperatures in play everywhere. Zone. Let me repeat that because it's so extreme. 40 to 45 degrees below average. That means if the average temperature for this time of year is 20 degrees, we're talking about actual temperatures of -20 to -25. That's not wind chill, that's actual air temperature. And then by Monday and Tuesday, all that cold air sinks south. It reaches areas like Alabama and Mississippi. But notice it won't be nearly as intense that far south. About 10 degrees below average in the deep south. Still cold, but not the life-threatening cold we're seeing up north. Eventually, by Tuesday and Wednesday, all that cold air sits across the East Coast and Great Lakes before finally moving out by Thursday and Friday. And then right before Christmas, we could be talking about well above average temperatures across the Great Plains and along the West Coast. But if you're in the Northeast, there's really not going to be any end in sight to the frigid weather. This pattern change is going to bring extremely dangerous cold to the Midwest and Northern Plains. Let me give you the actual temperature forecast, because this is where it gets real. This is where you understand just how serious this situation is. Saturday morning, low temperatures are forecasted to be anywhere from 0 to -30 degrees across Minnesota, North Dakota, and almost all of Wisconsin. 0 to -30. And the freezing line, the line where temperatures drop below 32 degrees, that line is going to be all the way down in the deep south. And then by Sunday morning, it doesn't get better. In fact, many areas on Saturday afternoon might not even make it out of negative temperatures. Think about that. The high temperature for the day could be -5 degrees all day long, below zero. This is really crazy for this time of year. December is not always this cold across the northern plains and Midwest. This has been a very aggressive start to winter compared to previous years. It's like Mother Nature decided to skip the gradual cool down and just plunge us straight into January and February level cold. Sunday morning, we're talking about widespread temperatures anywhere from 0 to, once again, -25 degrees, anywhere from Fargo all the way back down toward Milwaukee. And Monday and Tuesday, things gradually start to improve. But there's really not going to be any end in sight to the sub-zero temperatures until at least around December 17th if you're in the Midwest. So get ready for some very cold weather ahead. We're talking about more than a week of dangerous, life-threatening cold. And the wind chills, the feel-like temperatures, those are going to be a lot worse. Midwest, Ohio Valley, Northern Plains, you're looking at widespread areas of sub-zero feel-like temperatures. And Sunday morning is not going to be much different from Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a few areas near -50 for feel-like temperatures Saturday morning, especially in northern Minnesota. -50 wind chill. At those temperatures, exposed skin can get frostbite in less than 5 minutes. This is the kind of cold where if your car breaks down on a rural road, you're in a life-threatening situation within minutes. This is the kind of cold where you don't go outside unless you absolutely have to. Now, beyond this winter storm, we're going to see a little bit more snowfall as we go into Thursday and Friday. More energy is coming over the northern Rockies. That's all from an atmospheric river event in the Pacific Northwest that's already dumping a lot of rain and snow out there. That energy makes its way into the northern plains on Thursday. But there's going to be a lot of dry and sinking air across the Midwest and northern plains, so I don't think we're going to see a full-blown winter storm form, but there will be some light snowfall Thursday into Friday that makes its way into the Ohio Valley. Could reach around 1 to 3 inches of snow in some spots. And then by late Friday and Saturday, a little bit more snow tries to shoot into the northern plains and Midwest. That'll mostly be for Iowa, Minnesota, perhaps even near Chicago, Indiana, and Ohio on Saturday afternoon. Overall, though, not expecting much. Maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow out of that as well. And then by Sunday and Monday of next week, things get a lot more uncertain. But as this Arctic blast fills in, we're likely going to see a large high-pressure system form. And with all these pressure changes happening over the next several days, you could actually experience headaches on Sunday and Monday with how strong the high-pressure system will be. That's right, the weather could literally give you a headache. When barometric pressure changes rapidly and dramatically, a lot of people experience headaches, joint pain, and other physical symptoms. It's not in your head, it's a real physiological response to atmospheric pressure changes. And then beyond this, things get even more uncertain. As of right now, just before Christmas, I'm not really seeing any major winter storms developing. However, that can always change. Weather forecasting more than 7 to 10 days out is still more art than science, pattern recognition, and educated guesses based on decades of data. But here's what I can tell you with confidence. This pattern we're in right now, this aggressive winter pattern, it's not typical for early December. Usually we see this kind of sustained cold and multiple snow events in January or February. The fact that we're seeing it now, in early to mid-December, suggests this could be a more active winter overall. Let me summarize everything you need to know, because I've thrown a lot of information at you, and I want to make sure the key points are crystal clear. First, the winter storm today and tomorrow is bringing 5 to 10 inches of snow to a huge area from Minnesota through Michigan. Some locations, particularly in lake effect zones, could see 12 to 18 inches. That's significant snow that's going to cause major travel disruptions. Second, the ground blizzard threat Wednesday morning across Iowa and Illinois is real and dangerous. 60 to 70 mile-per-hour winds are going to create whiteout conditions even without falling snow. If you're in these areas, seriously consider staying home Wednesday morning. Third, the ice threat is present but not extreme. North Dakota is seeing the most ice accumulation, up to 1/10 of an inch in spots. That's enough to cause power outages and make roads treacherous. Fourth, and this is the big one, the Arctic blast this weekend is going to be historic. We're talking 40 to 45 degrees below average in some areas, actual temperatures of -30, wind chills of -50. This is life-threatening cold that's going to last for more than a week. If you're in the Midwest or Northern Plains, you need to prepare now. Make sure you have multiple ways to heat your home in case of power outages. Stock up on food and supplies so you don't have to go out in the dangerous cold. Check on elderly neighbors. Bring pets inside. This is serious, life-threatening weather. And for those of you who've been watching closely, you noticed I keep mentioning uncertainty beyond this weekend. There's a reason for that, and it's something I'm going to explore in much more detail in my next forecast. Because what I'm seeing in the long-range models, particularly around 10 to 14 days out, is fascinating. We've got this massive Arctic blast coming. That cold air is going to sit and fester over the eastern half of the country. And when you have that much cold air in place, all you need is moisture and energy to create a major winter storm. The question is whether we can get that moisture, whether we can get a coastal storm to develop that taps into Atlantic moisture and combines it with the Arctic air. If that happens, and I'm not saying it will, but if it happens, we could be looking at a significant snow event for the Interstate 95 corridor. Places like DC, Baltimore, Philadelphia, even New York could be in play. I'm not making predictions yet. It's too far out. Too many variables, but the ingredients are starting to line up. The cold air is guaranteed. The question is whether the moisture shows up at the right time in the right place. And here's why you should care, even if that potential storm is 2 weeks away. Because if you're already dealing with 5 to 10 inches of snow this week, and then you get another major storm in 2 weeks, that's a compound problem. Snow removal becomes harder. Ice dams form on roofs. The cumulative effect of multiple storms in a short period is worse than one big storm by itself. So stay tuned for my next update. I'll be tracking those long-range models closely, and I'll let you know if that potential coastal storm starts to look more likely or if it falls apart. For now, your focus needs to be on the immediate threats. The winter storm today and tomorrow, the ground blizzard Wednesday morning, and the life-threatening Arctic blast this weekend. This is an all-hands-on-deck weather situation. Multiple threats, compound effects, extreme conditions. This is the kind of weather week that defines a winter. This is the kind of weather that people remember years later. Stay safe, stay warm, and if conditions are dangerous, don't take chances. No job is worth risking your life driving through a ground blizzard. No errand is worth risking frostbite and negative 50-degree wind chills. The weather doesn't care about your schedule. The weather doesn't care about your plans. When Mother Nature throws something this extreme at us, the only smart response is respect and caution. And remember, this forecast I just gave you, this is just the beginning of the story. The next chapter, the one about that potential major coastal storm 2 weeks out, that's coming in my next update. And trust me, if the models keep showing what they're showing right now, that next forecast is going to be one you definitely don't want to miss. Until then, stay weather aware, stay prepared, and stay safe out there.